It's absolutely obscene what is going on at Speaker's Corner. I am not allowed to go there because of a completely narcissistic and malicious complaint. That is all I'm allowed to say. From people who think that I am stalking them. Like, why would I want to stalk two complete shrieking maniacs who wander around literally browbeating people? They maybe need to read their Bible a bit. When Jesus, who kind of knew a bit about the gospel, when he found people who weren't willing to listen, he just walked away. Apparently, Speaker's Corner has been particularly bad today. Well, it is particularly bad. It's becoming full of violent thugs. And there's a saying in Newcastle: people in glass houses should not throw stones. The last time I was at Speaker's Corner, I could hear someone verbally threatening me. And if it's the person I think it is, because it's on camera, I would respectfully ask them to stop involving certain authorities and to talk like a man. That person and Bob's movement are spreading the most vile slander about me possible. And I have reached out to Bob of Speaker's Corner and Chris of Speaker's Corner to publicly look at the facts. I've just written to my MP today again. Probably in the middle of the week, I'll say, look, if you don't flipping well do something about my case, I'm going to go up to my constituency of Tendring and campaign for Lord Binface. I love my little boy so much. And Daniel has a special affinity with me. A, I'm his dad, and B, he knows I'm a bit autistic like him. The funniest thing was when I was looking for my Oyster card, and then Daniel just pops up with it. I am going to sue Thomas Moffat for what he said, because he is involved with Urban Scoop and other stuff. I mean, I was carrying the burden that I may have helped get Tommy Robinson out of jail, because I speak to Wendell. I said to Wendell, this is several weeks before it happened. I said, look, tell Tommy to purge his contempt and just say everyone see the film. When you talk to Wendell, you are talking to Tommy Robinson. As Doctor Who says, that's Dr. David Macrith, he has said that Tommy Robinson is a national hero. I'm always a bit neutral on Tommy Robinson. I don't take a view. But I always ask people, can you tell me something he said that's racist? And someone said he said there's no black in the Union Jack. Well, I asked DeepSeek, and Tommy Robinson apparently never said that. I think there needs to be an informal conference of ecumenists who Bob calls sectarians. I'm not sectarian. Bob is the sectarian. I am quite willing to have polite conversations with Bob. In fact, actually, the last summer, I was actually feeding him friendly question after friendly question, and there was one he couldn't answer. Let me tell you something. It was the teaching of the Lord Jesus Christ that you never harm a child. It's explicitly there. And I have my poor little boy growing up, and I'm watching this happening in Speaker's Corner, where, let's just look at some of the people who used to be there. Gladstone, Disraeli, Lord Palmerston, Lenin, Marx, Keynes, Hayek. They all used to go there. And it's become like a zoo. I should fit in quite well then. Bob needs to get a sense of humour. Apparently he's got himself a wife. I'm not going to spread personal information about Bob, but I need to talk to Bob, because he's allowing people of his, what I think is a burgeoning neo-fascist movement, to go around slandering me. It's not going to happen without then me disclosing something I know about Bob, because his little acolyte called Jason has told me there are too many unhinged people down there. I know that I act a bit crazy sometimes, but I tell you what, it makes you fit in well. Also protects you a little bit. I know who the dangerous people are down there. It's a matter of time before someone is attacked or stabbed again. Or sorry, last time I was there, someone got punched from some allegation. Is that what this country's come to? Let me tell you something else, which me and my Christian brother, I regard him as a Christian, were told. We were told something. In the conversation, this guy basically says he wasn't allowed to get an American visa. I mean, at the moment, I'm trying to get an ACRO certificate, and I've told my employer, if I ever do go there, because I've got a couple of weeks, I've told them that it will come back no live traces. But at the moment, it will come with one pending prosecution in January, which is what has been told to two people, which I find unprofessional. Now, that prosecution will fail. Anyway, back to what this guy suddenly said. He suddenly disclosed something which was clearly an SCX offence. It didn't involve him removing any clothing. It was still pretty bad. But of course, unlike people like Bleep and Bleep, to give you a clue, they're very large. I don't sit there and go, oh, wait a minute, I'll just go and do a live stream about it, or go and tell all the nitties about it. What I did was I thought about it, prayed about it, and then when I saw the guy, I said, look, don't ever speak to me again, but I can give you my word that me and my friend, and I was actually speaking for my friend, and that was maybe a bit, I will not talk about it with anyone, because it's between him and the probation service. We used to be a civilized country in this country. There is also something called Sarah's and Claire's law. It is a solution for maybe one person, that if this person is so bothered, because they bring their children down to Speaker's Corner, which of course is their choice, that they could invoke that. Now, it says that you're not supposed to disclose anything disclosed under Sarah's law, but on the other hand, if there's nothing to disclose, which I know there's not, but this is people calling themselves Christians. This is what I don't get. This is what I don't get. How can people call themselves a Christian and then spread or be party to slander? And Bob's group is doing it. It goes by the name of Tony. I'll be calling him real soon, because I've got the number on my old phone, which is in Russia. I'll state again, I have given some of the facts to both Chris and Bob of Speaker's Corner, along with someone who knows what actually really happened. I have also asked the mother of my child to come clean over why she told lies to get social housing. It's completely ruined my life, and it's also ruined Daniel's life. Daniel is a little autistic boy in a residential home because his mother can't handle him, because his mother has got a disabled hand. And I have compassion for the mother. But I don't have much sympathy for people who think they can go round spreading slander about me. I'm not joking anymore. Thomas Moffat is a slanderer. People say, oh, you just, you assaulted young Bob. No, I didn't. Young Bob pushed me, and I put a hand back out. Not a punch. Yes, it caught him, but it was a little bit of contact. It wasn't as harsh as the push. And then a few days later, a week later, one of Bob's thugs, who think he might be able to, and then Bob had the nerve to say, oh, there's women and children around. I think he's not a Christian, he's a Roman Catholic, but that's his business. I don't think Bob's going to be turning up with the Knights of the Templar anytime soon. If I see it, it'll be a dream, or I need to go back to Funny Farm. Bob's movement is bound to fail. Bob has done a stirring job in basically at least bringing something to the working class who have been neglected by the Universal Church for years. Bob also, I need to take my hat off to the fact that he does at least have the gonads to go down that park and point out all the problems with a certain religion. So I will salute you there, and I'm not being sarcastic either. There needs to be some kind of online or in-person discussion between all parties claiming to be Christian at Speaker's Corner, because it's getting bad down there. And this was something a minister told me. The little prayer session outside the park on that circular bit is claiming the land as a mosque. As soon as you start praying regularly at a place, it becomes a mosque. A certain group of people, Islamic extremists, want to turn Speaker's Corner into a mosque. I am appealing again to Bob and Chris to sort out the slander that's been said against me. They are not responsible for it, but there is a responsibility in the body of Christ to stop it. And they claim to be part of the body of Christ. Well, I'll leave that between you and Christ. That's as far as I'm willing to go. But I am imploring the pair of you to sort this out, because I'm worried. I mean, that's how I cooked last night. If I'm keeping my head down, I can keep my head down pretty well. Last time I was at Speaker's Corner, I had a fair indication the police were after me on a warrant for a hearing which is now being resolved in my favour. I'm not always that squeaky clean around police. I mean, the police said that I'd called them pigs. No, they're police scum. What else I got to say? Yeah, I think there needs to be a bigger group of people of, English patriots of all races, creeds and colours to stop the violence that is going on down that corner. Absolutely. Anyway, I'll finish with my criminal record, which I'm totally ashamed of. Criminal record in England, nothing. I showed Atheist Steve. I actually showed him my record, and I may or may not have been actually legally allowed to show it. I may or may not have had my enhanced DBS from 2023 on it. But it's clean. The ACRO certificate, which I need to apply for and get apostilled, will come back clean, providing there are no police investigations on it or any pending prosecutions. I'm hoping this week and praying that there will be a disposal of the January case because the police have messed up. But my criminal record in New Zealand, I'm so ashamed of it. I was driving a car and I saw a police car coming in the opposite direction. It was a very narrow road. Now, I may or may not have had a forged tax disc on it because that's one of my other naughty things. So like a good Essex boy, I floored it. Anyway, that car was sliding. It was down a sort of mountainous road and I was sliding it a bit around the corner. I mean, it's difficult to get oversteer on a front-wheel drive car. What you got to do is lift the accelerator off. You get a bit of lift. It's called lift off oversteer. It's a bit dangerous. I was heaving my brakes on. I was literally going into the corner and braking hard, Essex driving. I'd almost got to the bottom of the hill, and then there's blue lights behind me. Shit. So anyway, I stopped, but obviously I was in a windy road. I took about, apparently according to the statement from the officers, it was about 50 seconds. So they goes, "We're taking your car off you." I said, "Why? You haven't got me speeding?" And they put their torch on the on the brake discs. It was just steaming. So anyway, they towed my car. I was well cheesed off. So they said, "If you want to go back for it, you'll have to go to the court on Monday." So I went to the court on Monday, and they read out to the judge. They said, "That's the worst driving we've ever seen." Remember, I'm totally ashamed of this offence. And the judge said, "So what were you doing following him then?" And then basically, I walked past the police with my car keys, giving it the finger. But unfortunately, this was civil burden of proof, by the way. They had to prove on balance of probability I was driving dangerously. But when it actually came to the criminal trial, I did a plea bargain. So the lawyer said to me, "Look, it's the word of 2 police officers versus you. And if you go down for dangerous driving, you're looking at a 2-year ban." So I copped a plea of careless driving, which I think was like 3 points, plus failing to stop for red and blue. Not exactly a master criminal, is it? I have been slandered before. And when you're slandered, it's about one of the most soul-destroying things that can ever happen to you. My heart goes out to any woman who is being abused by a man, being stalked by a man. I've just dealt with one. My friend on the river has got a stalker in a boat next to her that he's just bought. It's like a flipping movie. I will make my peace with anybody. I will never approve of Bob, but I am willing to make some kind of understanding with him so that there is peace in the park, so at least people have freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is directly, and I mean directly, under attack at that corner. And we all know where it's coming from. So I am asking Bob, Chris, Jason, and others to pull your heads in, realise that we have things in common and things we don't have in common. But I will not be slandered. Young Bob slandered me badly. The other thing is, though, this has come from another channel which, in my opinion, needs shutting down. I'm not in for shutting down. I'm not in for silencing people. But it seems that these pair of bullies have decided to not come to Speaker's Corner anymore. Well, brilliant. If you're going to turn around and bully people and threaten people, I ain't threatened no one at that park. This is ridiculous. I am asking for all parties at the park to have maybe a meeting together to work out how to agree to disagree. Because the real threat at that park is from Islamic extremists. That's when I first went down there. Until I realised it was a very sinister operation. Until I realised it was being led by a gold smuggler. Now, I have reason and honest opinion to think that. Why? Because the dude got caught on camera. "Hey, I want to stop a casino." Come on. Bob, if I were becoming Prime Minister, I'd give you an OBE just for having the balls to go down there and do what you do. But theologically, can't agree with you. But on the other hand, you are clearly someone who is a patriot, and who wants to stop this country becoming an Islamic country. That was also on the rap sheet on the assault police officer that was at Chelmsford 10 days ago now. I'm alleged to have said this country is becoming an Islamic state. I was wrong to say that. We are already an Islamic state. Speaker's Corner is one of the few places where you can openly speak your mind, but it does not include slander. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And by the way, well done to all those Restore Britain campaigners. I'm sure Andy Burnham is going to write you a thank you card. Well done. I'm starting to think that Farage, Tommy Robinson are the gatekeepers. They are controlled opposition. How on earth could so-called patriots make such an absolute Scheissenhausen show of that by-election in Makerfield? If you thought Keir Starmer was a wanker, this includes you, Sarah, I know you wouldn't use such bad terms, Andy Burnham is the biggest wanker since wanking began. And that was a long time ago. He is a professional politician. He's got the gift of the gab. He campaigned on hope. And remember, Yvette Cooper said, he's a friend of mine. These people are all part of two cheeks of the same hole. If you thought Keir Starmer was bad, OMG. And I'm not saying that to blaspheme either. God help this country. Literally. Because Andy Burnham is going to raid your taxes. He's going to spend on his little lanyard-based initiatives. He's going to build up hope. And I reckon within 6 months to a year, if he gets any economic upturn, which he probably will if he inheritance taxes people and does this mansion tax, that will probably boost GDP in the short run. He'll call an election, and his manifesto will be to introduce proportional representation. And then we'll end up like the Netherlands. Bye-bye, UK. I want to get out. Again, I salute people like Chris, Bob, people who go down there, people who've suddenly noticed I've known about this for some time. I'm checking out. I want to get out of this place before it becomes a complete basket case. You think it's a basket case now? But then I got the problem. My son is dependent on the state. My beloved son. For the sake of my son, can people apologise? Because this is slander. Thank you for your attention.